What's good, Cowboys Nation? Welcome into another season, off season of Senior Bowl talk with my guy, Foots the King. In my opinion, one of the legends when it comes to this draft stuff. And I was just telling him behind the scenes, anytime I do a show in the off season with Foots, I know it's about time for draft, and I gotta turn that page and put that draft hat on and really get right. Because y'all boys bring it, and I got to make sure that I know what the heck I'm talking about, I know what I'm seeing here, and I use you guys for guidance to point me in the right direction. But what's good, Brother Foots?
Man, Sky, this is what, year 3?
4.
Yeah,
man.
This series is a staple in my life, man, and I thank everybody who's supported us through this journey, man. I've always told you best point guard in the game. And another thing is this: I think that we do probably one of the best jobs of being innovative in our thinking when we do this segment. I remember, Sky, before Detroit had all this, success and this, that, and the third, me and you sitting on this show talking about, hey, Jahmyr Gibbs is as advertised.
He was.
Remember we said it, and then you said, and people know there's no ways better than Bijan, and that's debatable, depending on how people think that Bijan was used. But if I want people this offseason, my thoughts this offseason, Sky, will be, let's think outside the box. Think outside the box.
Yeah, I think this year, and Vach has been talking about it too, I'm past the value thing. And this could be a bit selfish because as a Cowboy fan, we're kind of in like a very short window of with the coach, possibly some players, right? So I'm looking at it as, can this dude come in here and help you right now? And if he has some upside for the future, some high value for the future, awesome, right? But this whole, you can't take a running back, you can't take a linebacker, you picking that 24, man. Throw that out the window. Can this dude help you at this moment?
You talking my language.
You know what I'm saying?
You talking my language, man.
And there's some dudes, I think, in this Senior Bowl that can do it. And if it's one thing we know the Cowboys can do, and let me say this before, because I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. There's some guys in the Senior Bowl, yes, that can come in here and have an instant impact. And then there's obviously guys that are more of a future pick, right, Foots? That's normally how this Senior Bowl goes.
Yep.
But what the Cowboys do best probably, in their entire team building process is drafting, and maybe beyond that is plucking guys from the Senior Bowl, right?
Yes.
Zach Martin, Dak Prescott, Osa Odigizua. I mean, the list goes on. There's a lot of dudes that they get down here, and there's a whole bunch of guys, and you had a hard time narrowing it down to 10, so we're going to talk about 10 of them. But there's a lot of guys you love here in the Senior Bowl that you think have some high impact for some teams moving forward.
Man, Sky, I'll be honest with you. My whole offseason mantra for the Cowboys is they have to get pro-ready guys. Mozzie, you want to bring him along. I don't really want Mozzie losing weight, so I don't know what was up with that. But, okay, you see a 3 to 5 year plan with Mozzie. I still think that Mozzie's going to be a great player. I'm not out on Mozzie. I'm not out on Luke Schoonmaker, but it was maybe somewhat of a reach pick, let's be honest, especially with what you had on the board. This year, Mike don't have a contract after this year. If I'm Mike, I'm going to the pro scouting department. I'm going to Will McClain and say, find me guys who come in right now who help me right now.
Yeah, that's what makes the quote-unquote lame duck, right? That's what it's called. That's what I'm going to call it because that's what it's called. Even though, shout out to my guy, Pat, he kind of swayed me on just basically saying it's a prove-it year. That's fair. But that's what makes this interesting is that if he is gone, what if the new coach doesn't care for a Mozzie Smith or a Luke Schoonmaker or whoever you draft in this upcoming draft because they got a different philosophy. So it is crucial to hit on these guys at the Senior Bowl, man.
Yeah, no. What a better, I'm going to say this, guy, because I know we're going to get into these guys.
Yep.
I don't know, since I've been covering the Senior Bowl since 2017, doing my rankings, doing my list. This year I started my new segment, Foot's Favorites, just some guys I peek at mid-season. I'm going to keep doing that. Actually sent you my list early on.
Yep.
Sky, I'm so serious. Like, okay, 2 years ago, it wasn't last year, it was 2 years ago. And even last year, the Senior Bowl, the quarterback played because Stroud and Bryce, they were underclassmen and they knew where they are. Sky, from quarterback to corner to receiver to linebacker to D tackle to offensive lineman, this is the best Senior Bowl that I've covered. I'm telling you now. This is going to be the best. If you just look at the prospects and you look at the tape and the battles that are going to happen, this is the best one.
Let's start right there with the offensive line, because this is why I get excited once I start getting into this thing with Foots, because he points me in direction. I go watch, and 9 times out of 10, I'm coming away like, yo. And the very first dude that I came away like, yo, is offensive tackle out of Washington, Troy Fautanu. Did I say that right?
Fautanu. I think we'll get the pronunciation better around combine time.
Regardless, this dude is impressive, man. And one of those older prospects. All right, he redshirted in 2019. I think he's like 24, but started in 2021, and he really hasn't looked back since. He's looking like a top 50 first or second round pick. He got that like flex because of his body type, but he played left tackle. Talk to me about Fautanu in general, and then let's wrap from a Cowboys perspective. What you think he could possibly do here?
In general, Scott never stops his feet. Like you just see his kick step, his post step, everything is clean. They did a lot of duo and combo. They moved him so much, Scott. So some of those gap schemes that me and you like to talk about off the air, whereas when you're running pin pull, you can get him out and get him on backers and safeties. He can do it, then come right back to the line of scrimmage and line up and pass set. Like that's how Washington called their offense last year. So like he was able to just move. Like he's a movement guy. I'll be honest with you. People think that his power lacks. I didn't see that.
What?
I've heard that because of stronger guys. Obviously at the top, Fautanu. Obviously our tackle in at Notre Dame. But for me, this guy here is, if he's staring at you at 24, you'd have to have a conversation.
Oh, I look, man. I'm very early into this process, and I'm getting to Graham Barton at some point as well. But this is what I thought about him. I feel like because he's so technically sound, he can play through his power. I didn't see a lack of power. I saw a dude who I was actually very impressed with from a technical standpoint, because over the last few years, as I'm getting into this offensive line stuff, I've noticed dudes that play violent, because this dude plays violent. Dudes that plays with some violence and that plays with some power, they're not technically sound just yet. You know what I'm saying? Like they play a little wild because they just want to overwhelm you with their power. I peeped. He got a little bag, man. He hit you with the fake punch, and then boom, he's smacking your hand down. He's trying to get you with the snatch technique. Dude got an anchor. I mean, he could sit the hell down. I'm impressed, and I wanted to ask you this because I haven't really watched everybody. Is he not up there with the Graham Bartons or something? Like, what is it?
At tackle, Joe Alt, Fautanu. I like Tyler Guyton, and we'll get to him. I don't know if we're gonna spend this much time on him, but Guyton is literally going to the Senior Bowl to prove that he's better than Fautanu and Alt. Like he's a competitive guy, so he's going just to do that. And then Troy's in that mix of like the 4 tackle. Here's the thing: if you moved him to guard, he'd be right there with Graham, if not better. Okay, because of the movement ability. And Graham is there. Graham probably is a little stronger. Just because he's built different. He has a wider base. You can look at his build. But as far as you said it, technique. When you're talking technique, I didn't see a rep. Even if he struggled on a rep, it wasn't because his technique was off or he was lunging.
You go.
It literally looks like teach tape every time.
Mm-hmm. I had wrote down, because I've noticed this a lot with some young guys or lesser talented guys or that had less technique. They tend to lean. I never really saw him losing from leaning. I saw him reach, and especially in the Michigan game. He reached like 1 or 2 times, but not leaning over his body, and that's where you get off balance. His balance and his control was impressive. And his control in open space, getting to the second level. I've seen him square up and turn. I've seen him. I mean, he put a couple of these Michigan dudes through the dirt, you know. Yeah. And that's, I know that sounds like, oh, well, he's a lineman. It's easy. I've seen linemen, specifically Cowboys, get to the second level out of control, or OC is what we use in the basketball terms. And next thing you know, there's a linebacker shooting underneath them, or a safety or a corner shooting underneath them. This dude he's in control. He has good balance. He can drop the anchor. I 100% am with you. If he's there at 24, depending on what you do in free agency, a conversation would have to be had to me.
Yeah, and you know, talking about fit for the Cowboys, Sky, if you want to say I have an all-pro future Hall of Fame guard and leave him there, this is a guy who's plug and play ready, depending on how you move from Tyron, because that conversation has to be had at some point. But if not, if Terrence still falls off the ledge again, you can kick him to right. And if you do some shuffling on the right side of your line at any point, or if something happens with Zach again or anything, this guy, I'm telling you, he comes in and he's ready to go.
All right, let's talk about another one of these island boys, because that's what you know what I'm saying. These boys from the island, they something different, fam. Yeah. Linebacker, and I'm gonna say this before I get into the actual player. I'm gonna keep it a bean with you. This draft season, I am going to be easily swooned by linebacker play foots. So I might be overrating a lot of these dudes just because I'm looking for some damn linebackers, and I'm looking for real linebacker play. You know what I'm saying? Not this bring a safety down. None of that. I need me a real linebacker. And is it Marist?
Marist.
Is it Liufau? Marist Liufau.
We'll go with that.
Let's go with that, bro. Let's go with that.
Honestly, I just say Marist Liufau, but I don't know if that.
I think it's Liufau. I'm trying to. If you saw my notes, I got it in there literally as Liufau. So
right.
Liufau. He's Notre Dame backer, goes about 6'2", roughly 240. Just look, for me, looks like a high energy downhill guy. But what do you got on Marist Liufau?
So, if you talk to Notre Dame fans about him, they say, and I think all teams kind of do that with their guys. And they may have a knock. Here's the thing: he's young at the position. He came in to Notre Dame as a safety. Okay. And then he put on a lot of weight, like real muscle. So everything that you hear about this guy, Sky, is he is a hard worker. And you see it on film. He can run. Now I ask myself, can he plug a gap? Because I think we have enough guys who can run. The answer is yes. We got to be mindful. What are the Cowboys going to ask him to do? Okay. This is a guy that if he's staring at you in the third round, you draft him and you don't look back. Extremely physical, plays with his hands. One of the worst things for me with certain backers, and it's a few other guys that we'll get to that I do like that they do it, and he does it great. He doesn't let linemen get on him. So when you watch, like I was watching the Syracuse game, they had a nice running game. He didn't let linemen get on him. Okay, he's gonna knife through, and I'm this is my mindset at backer. I'd rather you miss big than catch. I'd rather you miss big than catch. Bro. Yeah, I'd rather you miss big than catch. So with Marist, I mean, I got a 2-3 on him, Sky. But I mean, the energy, you hit it right on the head. Energy, and then Notre Dame does a great job of putting pro-ready guys into the league. They just do, and so he makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, one of the first things I think you talked about his hands. That's something that I noticed is he plays with some pop with his hands, and for a linebacker, that's pretty impressive. Because you usually see that for like a defensive lineman or something like that. He want the smoke. He not scared of the smoke. And like I said, I'm going to be easily moved this offseason when it comes to backers. It's not going to be hard for me. Is that backer physical? Is he downhill? And does he play with the motor of I want to get the rock, right? Because now maybe you get here to Dallas and they coach that up out of him, because I don't know how you go through 3 different seasons and you got the same type of mentality at the backer position aside from one player, and he doesn't even play linebacker full time. So that to me is a bit strange, but I don't see that from him. I don't see a kind of passive, aggressive type of linebacker. I see an aggressive downhill type of guy, Foots.
Great as a blitzer. One of the things with him that I love is the bat downs. So when he's running at the quarterback, he shows hands. Like, he's just a real heady player. And I think there's still teams are trying to play a lot of quick game now, Sky. So if you're sending them and showing hands, little things like that, when I'm watching the film, like that stuff to me matters, because it lets me know that you're paying attention to details. And I love the player. I really do.
Let's talk about on the other side of the ball a little bit here. This player I'm not quite familiar with, and I'm definitely going to lean on you about Tez Walker. Goes about 6'2", 200 pounds roughly, out of North Carolina. He wasn't there, if I'm not mistaken. Was he the number 1 guy, or he didn't seem like it?
So what ended up happening was he got suspended for the first 4 games.
Okay.
And so that's why his numbers, if you're looking at game logs, his numbers aren't going to be as high as the other guys this year.
Okay. Well, talk to us about Tez. What makes him a guy to look out for at the Senior Bowl?
So, just going through my notes, and he was right outside of my honorable mentions for my receiver rankings, but that's not to say that he's not a guy.
Right.
really Amon-Ra St. Brownish.
Ooh.
Never gonna be the top guy in the league, but in a scheme can go. I mean, he was Drake May's favorite target. When he came back, the offense looked different at North Carolina. Route running savant, gritty after the catch. Really reminds me of a mix between Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jalen Reed. 6 touchdowns, almost 600 yards, I believe, somewhere around that area. Doesn't drop the ball. So if you're looking for a guy who, his floor is definitely way higher than his ceiling, but he's going to be reliable. And I see him more as like a high-end 2 Sky versus ever being able to be like a 1 carry a team. But there's value for that in this NFL.
So with him, and that's why I said I'm going to lean on you guys, and I got to watch more on him because what I did watch, it just felt like they like, hey, Tez, go deep. Hey, Tez, it's just like, and he did a fantastic job, right? Maybe he comes in and that's what he does early on. He's an impressive deep threat.
He can move.
I don't know what his game is like outside of that just yet. So I gotta study a little bit more on the kid. But right now he looks like a vertical threat immediately if he were to come in the league to the Cowboys.
Well, what's gonna happen is this too, Sky. That's why the Senior Bowl is so beautiful, because now he'll get to see some corners that'll get in his face. He'll get to see defenses and schemes that look more like NFL schemes. So now we see, because those one-on-ones, when they're pressing, his frame isn't as built up as some of these other guys we'll talk about. And so it shows, and we'll see how he beats press and press man, because it's different when you're going against a guy at North Carolina State who's going to be a doctor, but now you're going against some guys that NFL teams are looking at.
So doctor's crazy.
Then that's a bad thing. We need more doctors on.
No, I always think about is it Byron Rowe? You remember him?
Myron Rowe, yeah.
Myron Rowe, that's who it was. Myron Rowe was actually pretty damn good at Florida State.
Great player.
Was really good in the league. And now he a brain surgeon. Like, that's dope. So shouts out to the doctors and mailmen that graduate but play football.
Yeah.
Let me stick on this side of the ball. And I hit you up. I couldn't help myself on this one. I was like, I can't save this for the show. Sign me up. Yeah. MarShawn Lloyd, the running back out of USC. I mean, look, again, I'm gonna be honest, just like linebacker, if I see a running back in this damn draft, it ain't gonna be hard to swoon me into taking him. But there's something about this kid that just screams. What did I text you? I think I said, yo, he looks like a running back.
Yeah.
What you got on MarShawn Lloyd before I tell you how I feel about it?
Yeah, because I definitely actually do want your thoughts on him. So, I had him in my first favorite, Sky.
You did? That was in what, October or something?
That was November. Yeah, dude. So I had him as a first favorite. I've been on him. And I want to check one stat. Tez had 7 touchdowns last year, not 6, so he's at 7. With MarShawn, he's a guy, right, that you see the complete package, and he's not a little guy. That's just where I'm at with it. One thing about, USC's offense, Lincoln Riley's offense, I don't know how deep into the woods you got, Sky, but it's times where, a lot like other coordinators we know, sometimes it just felt like they were chasing. Sometimes it felt like they didn't know who they were. But then there were times where I'm like, wow, this is some cool stuff. And it sometimes it felt like a little Caleb go do everything. And I think that they leaning on MarShawn Lloyd probably would have served them better in some of these big games that they ended up losing. Right? Like just having more like of a downhill approach. Let's get under center a little bit and just hand him the ball. Yeah. Because I think that he has that back. Everything was from gun. Everything I felt like had a it's so kiddie to me. Everything I felt like had a RPO tag to it. And you do that when you have a player like Caleb Williams. But this guy right here, man, speed, power, low body, low center of gravity, runs through contact. I mean, the floor is yours, Sky.
It's so funny you're talking about the offense. I put down here, and this is a real life quote in my notes here. As I'm watching him in this type of offense, I think about Dallas, what they do with that goofy ass shotgun run. If they keep some of that, same type of offense here in Dallas, Lloyd, I think, can help hide the deficiencies because of his lateral agility and vision. Right, that's something that we really didn't have and as much as I like Tony Pollard, I don't think that you would say that is his gift. and Rico Dowdle, those guys, I felt like they were one-cut runners. Where I love them in zone. That's why TP played a bunch of zone. They stick their foot in the ground, and they get downhill and go. Yeah. Lloyd, compact runner with some shiftiness and burst to him. It has here 5'9", 210, but depending where you look at, he's 5'9", 215, 210. But think about this for a second. That might sound small, right? Because he's 215 is not, but he's 5'9". If he was 6'2", 215, maybe. But that 5'9", 215 is more like 230. Because of how compact he is and low to the ground. Really good balance. I have here violent runner with good vision at the line of scrimmage. I'm big on that, right?
That's a good note, Sky.
If you're gonna have this, I hope they switch it up. But if you're gonna keep this kind of shotgun run stuff, you need your running back to really have some elite vision at the line of scrimmage and be able to see what's not there, if that makes sense. Because like I said, as much as I like Tony, that's not his game. He's going to try to get you what I can get you, but making dudes miss literally in a clogged up line of scrimmage is not it. I watched MarShawn do that because he had to, right? USC, I felt like 99% of the time they're running out of the shotgun.
Everything.
So everything is shotgun, so he has to be patient. He's got to let the lane develop, and then when he sees it, he's making guys miss, and he's getting out of there. You know, and that goes back to South Carolina, not just at USC, right? I mean, we were talking about it yesterday. Even at South Carolina, you saw him doing those things that he was doing at USC, but he was used more there, it felt like. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I wrote down, has the ability to set up blocks. It's a drill that I do in my running backs called a V drill when you're out a gun. And one thing that he does when he knows he has those double teams or those inside zone runs, he's literally king. And on tape, it looks that clean. He's keying that Mike backer once it's ID'd, and if he makes a wrong move, he's using his leverage against him and cutting back. I think that's some of what you're talking about when it comes to the vision, and you spot on. I mean, here's a guy transferring from South Carolina, was okay there. He might be set up, like you said, for these types of runs.
Yeah.
Gets here and just, I mean, he really comps to me to a Tajay Spears. Low to the ground. And the crazy thing about it is, Sky, his hands are real. Like some of these other guys that I love, Blake, I don't think he has as soft hands is Lloyd. But here's the beautiful thing about it. One thing about kind of some of that wonky stuff that Riley likes to do is he will send him on like a rail route where he's just going up the sideline, and Caleb will throw that joint and he will catch it. So I think a lot of value, man. He's sitting there in the second round. It'd be hard not to draft him. You don't know what's going to happen with Tony. I would definitely take him. And I think he's going to shine this week.
Yeah, I don't know where his value is going to go after, Senior Bowl, combine numbers and testing, and he does play the running back position. So I don't view him as a first-round guy or anything like that. But day two, you're in the running back market, Cowboys Nation. So day two, you should not be ruling out running back. You could argue you shouldn't have ruled it out last year on day two. And Foots, we did our running back rankings. We were excited because we like, hey, we're going to come away with one. I mean, it's about 15 of them. We're going to come away with one. And instead, they didn't come away with one. When I say one, I mean one to complement the room. The beautiful thing about Lloyd to me is that he can complement any room. I think that he is a well-rounded player. If you need a guy that's, like I said, compact, bowling ball type, I'm not saying he's going to push the pow like a 240-pound running back, but he can dip that hit. I've seen him truck dudes. And then he also can catch the ball in the backfield. He had to pass block a lot too, over there at USC with Caleb Williams. Just a well-rounded dude. I'm not all the way into this running back, class, but I really, really like this kid, bro.
Yeah, really good player for sure.
This one I'm gonna need your help on.
Okay.
Safety, and this is so funny, Foots, because we've been doing this now. It's our fourth season, and I remember our very first season. Me and you were big on safeties. Like we like the only two that really like talking about safeties.
We do.
But Foots, I'm out. I'm just done. I'm done with I'm be real with y'all. I'm done evaluating safeties in the draft because the Cowboys don't take them.
They're not gonna take them.
They just don't take them, right? So, Beau, Brade out of Maryland, what you got on?
I just had to throw him in there because I think people are gonna be surprised how he pops on film. Carrying tight ends, physical. Go watch the Michigan game. It's a play where he smokes Roman Wilson. Like, he's going to let you know he's here. Then they bring him down in the box. Then he could play corner. Then he's Brian Branch. And so, hey, Cowboys fans, Cowboys GMs, okay, hey, cool. You don't like safeties. Well, guess what? I watched the Lions team use Brian Branch to take away Jake Ferguson. Okay, I watched that Lions team do that and say we can use our safety to guard him because he has that versatility. I watched the year before where me and you talked about Jalen Petrie, and oh, by the way, guess what?
And Kyle Hamilton.
And Kyle Hamilton.
Bro, they was on our ass about Kyle Hamilton. Look at him now.
Oh yeah, draft Twitter. Oh yeah, he's a 4'6" guy. Oh, he got beat on one play. I don't like his hips. All he does in Baltimore, all pro. I think he was an all pro last year, a consideration. I mean, the guy's a player. So I've been doing this long enough to know what I know, and especially when it comes to Maryland, that's where I'm at. I'm in the DMV. Yeah. I watch these games. I watched him play Ohio State. He's the only guy popping on film. I'm watching him. There was a play where he's playing against Marvin Harrison Jr. and just completely dislodges the ball. Like, that's an NFL guy versus an NFL guy. Now, yes, they got beat, but the point is, this is how you have to watch film. How does this guy look against this player who's going to play on Sundays? For me, Beau, Brade, I know this is the only safety that I wrote down. So for me, Beau, Brade, he's a gas guy. And you know, the Cowboys will say, well, we got Donovan Wilson, and yes, we got Malik Hooker. But I'm just telling you, there were times last year when safety play hurt us. It did, and we know who and we know how. There were times last year when safety play hurt us. Yeah,
I think for like at least the first maybe quarter or so of the season, we was like, man, it was a bit of a letdown at the safety position. Excuse me. A bit of a letdown, and then it saw some uptick. I would say this. I think Malik Hooker was the Cowboys' most consistent safety on the team. I think Dono maybe suffering that injury in camp, and he was trying to work his way back. I feel like J-Ron completely fell off. I mean, we can say
it's fair.
I mean, it is what it is. He's not going to be back. I think it's a reason why he's the only one in that room that didn't get an extension. You could argue possibly politics played a role in him continuing to play as much as he did, because I feel like Wanye Thomas could have been given a little bit more of a role there. I feel like possibly who's the guy we had at linebacker? That's safety.
Marquise Bell, yeah.
Should have been playing more of that role than the linebacker role, but they'll all have a shot now. I feel like with J-Ron gone, the Cowboys are in good hands at the safety position. I don't know where Beau, Brade, where you kind of project him to go, but if it's anything higher than the 5th round, I don't see the Cowboys touching. But right now, it's very early. It's only January. Where do you think his projection is before all the testing in the game?
I mean, so, you know, just for knowing him.
Day 3, day 2?
Yeah, for me, definitely a day 2 guy, Scott.
Yeah.
I mean, you'll see when it comes down to, well, first of all, he's going to pop at the Senior Bowl. One-on-ones, he's going to be able to handle tight ends, and he's going to be able to handle running backs. And that's just, and he'll probably be able to go out there and handle. Like, he's that type of athlete to where he'll be able to go out and run with receivers. Like, he's that type of player. So, but the safety position, the value part of it. So, but a team who runs like a true middle of the field roaming type will look at this guy and say, can he be a Jesse Bates? Can he be a guy who plays hash to hash and protects everything on my back end? I think he can.
All right. Well, I'm curious to see this matchup if it happens, because let me flip it back to the other side of the ball on offense, and another one of those guys that I didn't hit you up about, but we got to talking about him, and I was like, once again, hey yo, this dude Xavier Legette, hey man, what? 6'3", 225 plus, just a big boy that plays like it, right? Like, he goes up, gets that rock physical dude, and you know, I'll let you have it here, but I was impressed.
You know what, Scott? I'm gonna let you have it, because here's the deal. I just want to give you a little bit of his backstory.
Please.
His backstory is, these are the type of players that you want to be Cowboys.
Mm-hmm.
First 3 years, when you look at his game log, Sky, you'll say, he didn't even play. And that's going to be the knock. Why didn't he have the production early on?
Production, yeah.
That's going to be the knock. But then, Sky, you watch the guy who they said every day, I was reading an article on Legette, every day him and Rattler got up at 6 a.m. and he literally, and this is off season, so this isn't when you're in season and your workouts and all that, and they literally threw routes all day, routes on air, got better in his bag, and it showed.
That's what I want to know.
That's who he is. I'm gonna tell you. Last year, I think he only had 170. It was a bad number. He had that in his first game. He came out the blocks on fire. The thing that you see about with this guy, Sky, and I'm gonna just tell you right now, Cowboys fans, you're not getting him in the 2nd round. I'm just telling you that.
He was telling me that, yeah.
I told you that. And so there's one word that defines this guy: explosion. Floor is yours, Scott.
That's a great nugget you dropped about essentially his work ethic, because that's the thing you don't see, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like certain teams in college. We've had this conversation last year or 2 years ago regarding Sam Williams, where it was like, hey, certain teams are using guys a certain way. And same thing with who's our left side, Tyler Smith. Tyler Smith wasn't really asked to be coached up all crazy because, hey, you're our best player, just go do you. I'm not saying that's the case with Xavier Legette, but one of the things I have here in my notes is he wasn't asked to really do a whole bunch from a route standpoint, right?
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean he can't. So what I'm trying to do is let me see how he's playing when the ball's not going his way. How is he running this particular route? A whole bunch of overs and things like that, but not a lot of like NFL crazy route tree. But you see it. You see that, oh, there's something there that can easily be coached. Yeah, is he the most crisp? I don't think so yet, but I think that could be easily coached into what he does. But what I wanted to know, and what I can't find out when you're watching these dudes is, well, what is behind the man in the helmet? Is he a guy that's going to get up at 5 a.m. and go work out? Is he a guy that's going to work on his craft to get better? And you saying that he did that with Rattler, to me, that actually takes him up even more, because the physical tools are there. And crazy thing, Foots, he's a scheme fit in this offense now.
Oh, right now.
Now.
He's your best two right now.
Right now, he's a scheme fit. And you might be like, well, Scott, didn't you just say the route tree? I get it, right? But guess what? This scheme is asking you to do some slants. They're asking you to do some overs from time to time and run deep. What did Michael Gallup do this year? Slants, comebacks, run deep. I'm not saying that we gotta corner Legette, and again, I'm talking for the Cowboys drafting. We gotta corner Legette into doing that. But as he's learning the route tree, I can almost damn near guarantee you he would be more of a physical presence and a problem running that slant, that comeback, and that deep route than probably Michael Gallup was because of the injury. And again, I'm not trying to, this isn't to shade Michael Gallup. He's just clearly not the same player. This dude is a completely different physical animal. And I just feel like right now he can come in and be productive. This wouldn't be a Jalen Tolbert situation, in my opinion.
Oh, no. Jalen Tolbert, he's not stopping you from drafting this guy. I'll tell you this. What he does better than Micah is the yak. Okay? So catch and run, it's real. It's real, Sky.
Speed, yeah.
He's going to run away from defense. And these are SEC defense. I love Michael Gallup. It's Colorado State versus playing against Florida versus playing against, Georgia. It's levels.
Yeah, and look, man, I'm not trying to shade Michael Gallup.
Not at all.
But there seems to be a different, and this is so cliche now. I wish we could find a new damn word, but there's a different dog in Legette. And there is something to, all right, I got my bag. I'm just happy to be here, because I remember Michael Gallup earlier in the season when they asked him, like, hey, you're not getting the ball. Like, what's your thoughts on that? He was just like, I'm fine. As long as we're winning, no big deal. I'll just go out there and I'll just block and do my thing. And I'm like, that sound good, but I kind of want my receivers to be like, yeah, I'm happy we winning, but I'm ready to contribute to this dub. Throw me the rock and let me help us win. And I feel like Xavier Legette got that. Throw me the rock. I don't care where you throw it. I'm going to go get that rock and come down with it. And long speed, yak ability, physical, contested catch. Dude is, A.J. Brown type when it comes to the physical size of his body. And I don't know where he going to go, Foots, but you'd love to have a guy like this on your team.
We started this show and we said, hey, Scott, my only thing is I want Cowboys fans to just think outside the box. We want a linebacker. I want a linebacker.
Or offensive
tackle. The Cowboys
tackle.
need a linebacker. I need an offensive tackle.
Yeah.
But you don't pass on this type of explosion just to say that we had a linebacker and that's a need. Yeah. Because Sky, you'll jump into free agency. The Cowboys are going to address some needs in free agency.
Sure.
The Cowboys and CD is going to get paid. But after that, Michael Gallup's not in your future. Brandon Cooks isn't in your future. And Tolbert, to me, his ceiling is more Tyler Boyd.
And that's fine. Like Tolbert,
and that's fine.
Wide receiver 3, if he can be that. Tyler Boyd has been fantastic for like 8 years.
Bro, played his role.
Guy, yeah.
Played his role, wins consistently. But then you put Jamar Chase and what's my guy who's about to leave? Cincy. You
T.
put
Higgins.
Jamar Chase and T. Higgins together. Now you're special.
Hey,
now
I brought
it's
T.
different.
Higgins up with. I was talking to my guy. I think it was Twan. I said, "Hey man, I feel like this guy could be our T. Higgins."
Oh, for sure. And guess what? You need that. You need that competition in the room. You need these guys. Like, let's create those advantages. I want to create those spaces.
Yeah,
because he's a guy.
Yeah, let's not get it twisted. Because a lot of people are gonna say, "Oh, well, you got CeeDee Lamb. That's enough." No, sir. This is 2023. Most offenses are going to need multiple skill players, not just one skill player, unless you're like a Lamar Jackson type of offense where they got about 8 of them and they use all 8. They say, well, we might not have a complete one, but we got 8 dudes and they actually use them all, right?
Yeah.
Whereas most offenses, they have Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Mixon. That's their guys. You know, CeeDee Lamb, Jake Ferguson, Tony, or CeeDee Lamb, Jake Ferguson, Cooks. That's their guys. At one point, it used to be Kelsey, Hill, Patty. That's their guy. Like, you need multiple dudes out there. You made a great point. Cooks, one year left on his deal. He's probably not going to be here after that. Michael Gallup, if they bring Michael Gallup back, I just don't understand the move there. So why?
You're right.
You know, if you get a young dude like this, getting him here under Brandon Cooks for at least a year would be fantastic. Look what it did for Jalen Tolbert.
Nah, look what it did for Jalen Tolbert. Jalen Tolbert to be ready, but his ceiling just isn't a guy like Legette. No. I mean, I'm telling you now, he's a 4.35 guy, Sky. So just get ready.
Ooh, what?
He's a 4.35 guy at 6'3".
He not lasting a 50-something.
20. No, and that's what I'm saying. Like, because the traits are too rich. Now he'll be. Because again, here goes another breaking news. That's my draft. Sky. This is the deepest receiver class I've ever covered.
Whoa.
Like it's that crazy. I'm telling you now, bro, because it's so many. Like I said this, and I don't want to. You could literally get a guy like Legette, and he could have a better first year than Marvin Harrison Jr.
Woo.
Why? Dak Prescott's the quarterback. He's gonna give these guys a chance if he can play, and CD's getting all the attention because CD's gonna get the attention. You get what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying.
Like, these guys at the back of the draft, Troy Franklin's, Malachi Corley, they go to the right scheme. I'm telling you.
Oh, yeah. You know, place matters. Like, where you get drafted to, organizations, all that stuff matters for players. It often gets overlooked by fans a lot, but some of our favorite players wouldn't be who they were if they didn't end up where they went. Now, you brought up linebackers. So I want to talk. We're going to get into, I think, 3 linebackers right here. The first one, Trevin Wallace not Trevin Wallace, I'm sorry. Not Trevin Wallace. We're talking about Mike Barrett. Michael Barrett out of Michigan. National champion, by the way. 6-year senior. So one of those older players who, you know, ever since COVID, you see a lot of these guys coming out. I feel like we're not going to see it regress to the mean to like 2027, right? Where guys are now, you know, 4-year seniors instead of opposed to 6 or 7-year seniors. But Michael Barrett goes about 6 foot, roughly 240. Like I said, won a national championship, had a good game, a really good game against the Washington Huskies.
You saw it, right?
Yeah. I mean, he played good there. What you got on Barrett?
So every year there's a team that's just going to put guys in the NFL. And both Junior Colson and Michael Barrett are going to the NFL and playing football because they came from Michigan. And Michigan was physical as hell. Blake Corum is going to the NFL. Zach Zinter is going to the NFL. JJ McCarthy is going to the NFL because that program was that good. And I think what you're getting in a guy like Barrett. So Junior Colson is another guy who I'm really high on. I think he's going to fly up boards, but he's not going to be at the Senior Bowl. But let me tell you something about Barrett, man. To me, when you look at Barrett, the first thing you see is physicalness, guy. Like, here's a guy who is going to hit you. In discussion. He is going to hit you, Skywalker, still, and that's what you need. Yeah. You need a guy who could plug. Like, he is right now your plugger. Some of the drop stuff.
Can he do Mike stuff?
Yes. Okay. Oh, yeah. And you know what? The 240 doesn't do him justice. I believe he's more 245-ish when I look at him. Low to the ground, but he's closing gaps, Sky. That's all I'm asking him to do is close gaps. Me personally, I like Barrett in the third, second, and I think as the process goes along, people are going to be surprised just how well he plays. I mean, how high he flies up boards.
Yeah, I was trying to think of where, because I'm looking again when I think about linebackers' foots, I'm thinking about guys that can help me rate this moment.
Yes.
And without having, and this is again, this is the selfish part of me. This is me looking at it from a Cowboys lens, not from any other team. I feel like we're gonna have to wait and see what happens in free agency, to see how they address a situation like Michael Barrett. Because do we want a young middle linebacker, or do we want to get like a vet out there that can come in right now and be able to guide a young guy that can play oppo of said middle linebacker? So I feel like I'm going to TBD when it comes to these dudes. Some of them, not all of them. There is one guy we're gonna get to that I don't give a damn how young he is. But with Barrett, I do see him, and this is very early. A lot has to come out late day 2, but maybe day 3. And in that case, usually that means a guy that you're kind of just coming along, and we'll see, right? We're coming along, develop. Not necessarily year 1, he gonna make a super duper impact. And I'm trying to be fair, is all I'm saying.
No, I mean, but Scott, that's what this show's about, and that's why I respect you. Because hey, let's just get the names out there.
Yeah.
Because some of the headliners, and probably a guy you'll talk about later.
Oh yeah.
Right. Okay. Cool. But again, now we're thinking differently. So now we're thinking, hey, let's say you pair this with Legette. If you check your boxes, let's say you pair Legette with your free agent linebacker, and then you go a different route in the draft, maybe a guard, center, whatever.
Right.
Now you say, okay, I'm cool. We check boxes, ready to go. These guys can play football right now. So, and then obviously you're bringing Overshown back, but here's the deal with Overshown. We don't know how he's gonna move.
Yeah, the ACL.
We don't. Those ACLs, bro. Some of them are Adrian Peterson, and some of them they just don't play the same. And we've seen that happen with the linebackers for the Cowboys.
I'm about to say Dallas has not had great success year 1 with ACL injuries. I mean, Terrence, I think Tristan Hill was another one. Michael Gallup, Blake Jarwin. Like, the ACLs have not treated us kindly. Let's get to another linebacker. We got 3 of them in a row here. Now we're going to get to Trevin Wallace, linebacker out of Kentucky, who, if you guys watched Foots, I think it was some months ago, Foots' favorites, he was on that list.
Yeah. Trevin is the backer that Skywalker still wants. Ooh. Trevin is physical, plays downhill. Had an interesting season. I won't be, fake and say every prospect had the best season. He was up and down, because I zeroed in on his film early on. Florida game was good. A few of the other games towards the end of the year were not. But it goes back to asking the question. The measurables and the look, Sky, this guy looks like a linebacker. Yeah. He looks like a linebacker. When he sees it and diagnoses, Sky, he's going to knock your teeth out. So you talk about that Nick Bolton, that the Missouri game was awesome. You talk about those, and that's just crazy because Nick went to Missouri. You talk about that type of player, but there were times where I saw him in no man's land in space. There were times where, I guess I don't want to talk like I'm talking out of both sides of my neck, because there were times where he did miss big. But I'm okay with that if that's what I'm asking him to come in and do. Yeah. Year 1 can come in and just plug immediately. Like, you don't have those questions that you maybe would have with Barrett, because he would come in right now and be ready to go.
And, I'm starting to, as offenses evolve, especially in the NFL, they're kind of mirroring what was happening in college. I'm starting to give a little bit of benefit of doubt to these linebackers out of college when you hear, man, he misdiagnosed, he has trouble with, at snap motion and bro, that stuff is not easy.
It's not.
When you got a play action going one way, 2 linemen going this way, a puller this way, it could look like an option triple. It's a lot going on, and it's going on multiple different ways. This isn't 1992 anymore when at the snap you read 1 key and that was it. These linebackers are really reading like 3 keys at once, and if you don't guess it right, if your instincts aren't there, it can look like, dang, this dude, what is he looking at? It's tough on these dudes. So I kind of grade it a little bit more on the quantity version of it. Like, how many times did this happen? Not it happened once and you know what? He can't read it. But yeah, this dude, Jamin Davis came from Kentucky, I believe, too, right?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, and these boys, man, these Kentucky defenders, they play with a little tenacity, bro. And I think you can see it through Trevin Wallace.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Now this guy, everything I just said, throw that shit out the window. Payton Wilson, sir? No, sir.
You on it?
I hardly see this dude get tripped up.
Yeah.
Motherfucking boy.
Yeah.
Look, I know this is low hanging fruit because he seems to be the consensus linebacker one. I don't give a damn about being young. I don't care about where you put. If he's Mike linebacker year one, he Mike linebacker year one. Foots. This dude to me, you said, hey man, this is the type of linebacker, you know, Sky wants and Trevin. This is the one. Payton Wilson. Foots, take it away.
So guess what I'm gonna do again? I'm gonna toss it back to you, Scott, because you trust your eyes. Now all I'm gonna do is just give you the background because that's what we do on this channel.
Yeah.
So Payton Wilson, everybody's gonna type in the chat box injuries. We got it. Let's use context first. These happened 2 years ago. Okay, they're gonna lean on the shoulder and then they're gonna lean on the ACL. He came back from that and was a Buckus Award finalist, and I think he actually won the award. So let's not do that to the player.
Yeah.
Another thing is, the size is real. The speed is even realer. He's a 4.5 guy, Sky. At 2, I think when he weighs in at the combine, he'll be about 255.
Whoa,
you see, he's a big body, 250, 255. I'm telling you, they'll put that muscle on him. You know, they go to these training facilities.
I was thinking maybe 245, right? They'll put on about 10 pounds roughly. If he measures in at 255 and runs a 4.5, bro.
When they're training, you know how it is, Sky. When they just load them up on this, they do this stuff, and it's incredible how they're able to get that mass on them. So, and he plays that way. He brings his whole 255.
Yes.
And he's trying to beat your face in. But the difference is the length and the size. O-lineman can't get on him. And that's the difference from some of these other backers, and that's why he is a consensus, the number one backer. Him and I would probably say Cooper, but you rolling dice with both of those too. But those are your two.
Yeah, you know, if he runs a 4.5, this isn't no Fugazi 4.5. Like,
no.
He literally plays that way. The closing speed is extremely impressive. It's not like a 4.3 guy or anything like that, but it might look like it on the field. I always say this, like people forget not everybody on that field is running 4.3. There might be two dudes. You know what I'm saying? So if you got like a 6'4", 245-pound linebacker that runs a 4.5, that's going to look like 4.3 out there. I mean, a ridiculous range, unbelievable closing speed, diagnosis things. I mean, you're talking about mental processing. That's why I said this dude, I don't care. You know, most young linebackers, I worry about that. Not him. It is extremely impressive. I've seen him deal with those, split zone, flow zone type things very well. Does he have this like versatility to him? I see him line up at the outside linebacker a lot. I would love to plug him at middle because we obviously need a Mike. But if you were to run a 3-4 outside linebacker type situation, I'm not saying he's going to be a pass rusher, but I seen him, come off the edge and use his length in his hands.
Yeah.
Just a dude that never looks out of place, comfortable. And one of my main things about linebackers and safeties that I'm high on is, do they have that click trigger, right? Where they see it, they click, and they press that trigger, and boom, they're flying downhill. I mean, but between him and Cooper, you can toss it up when it comes to that. Both of these dudes do it. But Wilson, brother, I mean, sign me up.
Sign you up, and I don't want people to this is lazy scouting and white linebacker Leighton Vander Esch. No, they don't move the same.
No,
they're not. That's not fair to the player. And then I'll tell you, there's a play.
Leighton, bro.
I don't want people to highlight, and that's what I respect about you. Don't highlight watch. I know sometimes it may be hard to get your hands on film, but go watch the full game tape. Even if it's an O line versus a D line, you can see the backers play. That's sometimes how I have to watch film. And the truth of the matter is this: there's a play when they're playing against Notre Dame, Sky, where he hawks down a slot receiver, and I think the receiver was like a 4.3 guy. I looked it up. Bro, those are the things that I write down and say, okay, effort, check. The speed is real. And so like you being able to close an angle on those type of guys lets me know that you're NFL ready right now. A lot like Jack Campbell. And remember we said, Jack Campbell can play in this league. He's not, if you're not asking him to just turn and cover all game, he can play and run in this league, and he was able to.
And another thing that I like about Wilson that I think will translate, especially for a team like us that I hate to say it, but so Cowboys can't seem to just find consistent defensive tackle play, right? Like I love Hankins, but Hankins is right. I love Osa, but Osa seems to flame out towards the end. He's trying to find that veteran level consistency. When I say flame out, I'm not saying Osa has been bad, but there doesn't seem to be that consistent defensive tackle play. However, I feel like Wilson is a guy that he can screw all that, right? Like, look, if our defensive tackles aren't playing great, he knows how to see it and get downhill and make a play. He can evade a rush, or he can meet the lineman at the line of scrimmage or at their hole or whatever and be there. Where that was not the case with the Cowboys linebacker. The Cowboys absolutely needed defensive tackle play to be superb, and then they still, even when they had the ability, right? Hey, you're kind of free, make a play. There still was this, I'm not sure what to do, or there's not that quick trigger because you got a linebacker like Beau, who's not a linebacker, who came out and told us immediately, but right before the season, hey, I'm still learning run fits. That was our starter. I'm learning how to run fit. Damone Clark essentially was a rookie. He didn't even play a full season of games until midway through the season because of the injury that he had. And he's not a true middle linebacker. So with Wilson, and again, and like you said, I'm not trying to compare. I'm not trying to compare him to Sean Lee. What I'm trying to say is that Sean Lee didn't require amazing defensive tackle play because he was extremely, extremely intelligent. He can get downhill, he can see it, and he'll beat the defensive tackle to the spot. And that's why you saw Sean Lee be, I mean, if he doesn't get hurt, he's a Hall of Fame linebacker. Payton Wilson has some of that, look, I'm going to see it, I'm going to click it, I'm going to go, regardless what you do in front of me. But if you do help him out, now we're talking about a dude that can get you 15 tackles for loss. And that's what we need at the position.
And let's be honest, again, we don't know how Overshown is going to recover from the injury. Number one. Number two, we know what's going on in Cowboys Nation about linebacker play and them wanting to use Micah and this, that. And that's fine. But have they said, you know, I don't want to be unfair to Damone Clark. I still think that there's room for him to grow.
Sure, he could be a part of this team, man.
He could be a part of this team, but we got to be real. If we want to keep putting, because these guys do get injured. Like, linebackers don't always play. So why not keep putting pressure on that position to say, hey, guess what? Somebody out of these three, Clark, Overshown, Wilson, Cooper, we're gonna throw numbers at the position, and somebody's gonna come out and be our guy. Because I don't want to just in the drop of a hat just Micah go do it. That's not fair to him.
Yeah,
he helps your defense on the edge to me. So I just want to throw that in there.
No, that is a very fair assessment of the situation, and I think back to. We haven't had a Sean Lee situation, but when Sean Lee would get injured, who was the guy we turned to? And eventually they start throwing, quote unquote, Bruce Carter, right? Anthony Hitchens, like these guys would step up or what have you when they were there. Look, LVE, I don't know why they counted on LVE. He already has his flaws as a linebacker, but at least he was your linebacker, right? And you knew he was going to get hurt. And I thought it was irresponsible for the team to go into the season with a hurt guy who was likely going to miss games. He ended up missing damn near the whole season. A guy who hasn't played much at all. And I like Damone Clark coming in. I thought he could be a bit better, and I missed on that one. He wasn't as good as I would hope he would be. We'll see what happens year 3. Yeah. And then a safety who never played linebacker a day in his damn life.
That's who you asking to stop Aaron Jones.
And teams saw that and said, oh, okay, well, this isn't going to be that difficult to address. So get me, and this is I'm gonna leave it at this. Get me a playmaker at linebacker, Foots.
Yeah.
I'm tired of being okay with okay. No, go look at go. We always bring up the Patrick Queens and the Roquans and those boys and Fred and Greenlaw. But what makes those guys, so special is that they making plays.
Yeah.
We can't be okay with tackles 7 yards down the line of scrimmage. We can't be okay with that. We're not getting tackles from loss from our linebackers. We're not getting interceptions. We're not getting multiple forced fumbles. We're not getting, you know what I'm saying? We're not getting a bunch of sacks. We just getting dudes that's there. And we just like, all right, that's cool. No, sir. Get me a playmaker. Stop playing. And before Micah got moved to defensive end, when he was drafted, and everybody was like, oh my God, I said, yo, he's a playmaker.
Yeah.
Forget position value and all this shit. I don't care.
No, I got you. Yeah.
Micah was a playmaker at Penn State. Payton Wilson is a playmaker. Get me a damn playmaker at that second level because we don't have it. You got a playmaker in Micah Parsons at the defensive end and D-Law. You got playmakers in Deron Bland and Trevon Diggs in the backfield. Who the hell has been your playmaker at linebacker for the last 5 years? Don't worry.
Middle of the defense.
I'll wait. Who? Nobody. My
They
bad. I got a
can't
little
tell you.
passionate with this one because I need me a playmaker Foots. I've been screaming for it for years.
Yeah, and not only that, but man, this is the passion that let's tap into this because I want people to understand. You get a guy who can now we just don't got to throw Micah there and throw him there. Now the defense does feel different.
Yeah.
It does. I'm telling you, it does.
100%, man. 100%. And I'm sure we'll be talking more about this throughout the offseason. All right, last one here as, man, we're flying through these, and I didn't realize we're about an hour in, but, bro, man.
It's been one of them ones. Hey, we came out swinging, huh, Sky?
Man, I'm already ready for our On The Clock series. See, they don't know. This is just Senior Bowl. We got an On The Clock series where we're going to talk about, it's usually like our 5, like your top 5 in each position.
And honorable mentions.
And honorable mentions, yeah. So those are always my favorite around draft season because that's how I really get plugged in with some of these. That's how we found out. We talked about Schoolmaker before. Schoolmaker was a damn thing. And so when he got drafted, we were able to know, about him. That doesn't mean we were happy, but we did cover the Schoolmaker pick. But anyway, last one. Your guy, Tyler Guyton, out of Oklahoma, I believe.
Yep.
Out of Oklahoma, 6'7", roughly 230. Funny thing is, Anton Harrison out of Oklahoma, the first round pick, and now Tyler Guyton back to back. They might got some guys there.
And a story about it is as good as Guyton was, he literally just waited his turn. Another situation kind of like Legette. The difference is with the 6'7" frame, Sky, you see true left tackle, true power forward. I made a comp to him that high end could be Tyron Smith, and I believe that because of the movement. And that's dangerous. I don't like putting that on players. Let me just put that out there.
That's a tough one right there.
But Oklahoma has put some good linemen in the league. Creed Humphrey, go all the way back to Trent Williams. You talk about Anton Harrison had a decent rookie year. So this has become a little hub. And again, like I said, with our Washington guy, between him and Guyton, that to me will be tackle. And Arizona kid, that to me will be tackle 3. And it's just about flavors. What are you asking their guy to do? I do like Troy more as a move guy, as a blocker, because he's more physical. You talking about mirroring and protecting the quarterback, you're talking about Guyton. Because the thing about Guyton is the arm length. You know, and I know, when a tackle is 6'7" and has those long arms that can punch like that, Sky, you got to have a DNS refined, or he's just going to keep getting washed.
Yeah, that's what's going to happen. You got to have a specimen, is what Vox was saying. If you got a specimen at the tackle position, if you're not a specimen, you got to be a technical savant. And both of those things are not easy to come by.
No, they're not. And again, I shared it early on, but for those of you who don't remember, he might not even play in the game. He may do a lot like my boy did last year from the Browns, who still fell, which was a criminal.
DeJuan
Jones, another player who was a stud when he played. He had the injuries, but he was a stud when he played. He's going to the Senior Bowl to prove that he's better than Fautanu, okay, and to prove that he's better than Joe Alt. That's why that's literally what his agent put out there. So he may not play in the game, just so we're clear. But 101s, get ready. Get ready. And that's like you can't do nothing but respect that in the player, Sky.
Yeah, and to bring it around to the Cowboys, we'll see what they do with Tyron. I'm of the belief you bring him back, but you bring him back with his replacement in-house. And
I'm not mad at that.
I think this is a guy, right? I mean, I don't know if this guy's even going to be available, but let's just pretend right now, hypothetically speaking, he may be more important than any of these dudes, believe it or not, because I think we saw how important it is to protect Dak's blind side. I mean, any quarterback, right? But you just saw how night and day the offense can be when there's a guy on that left side that he feels comfortable with. Chumi Doga, he did not feel comfortable with, and I get it, because this dude just kept letting dudes just scream off the edge for free, right? He didn't even have to make them work to do it. So if you got a guy like Guyton who can lock down that left side, whether it be in 2024 or 2025, you now got 2 dudes on the left side, 2 future studs on the left side, and another Tyler Guyton, Tyler Smith, right?
Yeah.
And you ain't got to worry about that moving forward. And that's only going to make not just Dak, right? Because let's just go into another crazy hypothetical. What if he's not here? Whoever your new quarterback is, you don't want them to walk into a situation where your offensive line is in dismay. And Tyron's gone, Zach is gone. We don't know what we're going to do at center. We'll see what's up with Steele and now you just got Tyler as a sure thing. So I don't know if this guy gonna be there, Foots, but he seems to be another one. Barton, Guyton, the Fautanu.
Fautanu.
Fautanu from like that has to be, I know it's linebacker we talk about, like you said, and we touched on receiver. Your offensive lineman, if that guy is on the board, not just a conversation, but it might have to take priority depending on who it is. Like, we can't get into another Mozzie Smith Bergeron situation.
No,
right? Like, you take that lineman.
Yeah, I'll do you one better. Outside of receiver, O-line is the deepest position at this. But
I'd love to hear that.
Because it's deep, that doesn't mean that if Dallas goes in and grades
day 3,
exactly. If Dallas goes in and says, "Hey, Tyler Guyton's going to be better than those guys," then you draft him, and I'm going to clap my hands.
Yeah,
I swear I am, because at the end of the day, what you just said about there were issues with Terrence Steele, that was a real thing. It lost us a game. Tyron's going to get hurt at some point. That's just who he is, and that's okay. If this guy's ready to go, and you can still. If Dak does play different when he all these quarterbacks do.
Yeah, I mean,
when he doesn't feel comfortable, he plays different. Bringing a mammoth of a human being who's going to protect his blind side. I'm telling you now, Sky, this guy, I have him over the Arizona kid, Guyton. And just the fact that he wants to go practice against these DNs and dominate and put that out there, there was going to be 3 guys that next week after the Senior Bowl, remember that we said this here first, after the one-on-ones, people are just going to go bananas about Xavier Legette, Tyler Guyton, and I would honestly say Lloyd, but circles around the league are already hip to Lloyd. So, yeah, Lloyd is going to be one of those guys too. Just like with Tajay Spears, like, people didn't really know, because if you're watching USC tape, you're watching Caleb Williams. So,
right.
But the good thing about it, Sky, is that you have Bo Nix, Spencer Rattler, and you have
some quality guys getting them to rock.
Yeah, and so what happens is they'll be getting all the press. Like, I'm telling you now, there's going to be 5 quarterbacks going the first 15 picks. It's just the way that quarterbacks got hurt this year, Sky, the way that teams had to completely change their offenses, there's going to be 5 quarterbacks go in the first 15 picks. So just be ready about that. It's going to push better players down. I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm 100%. I'm more fired up now after we're going through this list. You did have a few honorable mentions. We don't got to go in depth on these guys, but just a couple other names to watch for some of the viewers out there.
A couple of names in the Cedric Gray is a name. Tommy Eichenberg is a name. Just keep your eyes on him. I really like what he does. Lad McConkey, white receiver, but he doesn't win like just in a slot guy. So don't do, and it's not to say wide receiver, but it's a wide receiver playing slot. No, he can really play. He's a really good player. So those guys, man, I think that those guys go out there and they just show out. And the truth of the matter is this, Sky. Anytime, this is how deep this receiver class is. Anytime guys like Malachi Corey, he'll be there, and Brendan Rice, who's Jerry Rice's son, they're going under the radar. That just lets you know, man, like,
it's deep.
It's deep, bro. It really is deep, man. And guess what? Brendan Rice can play. Like, he's a good little player. He played at USC.
Hey, look,
he can play.
I'm out on just dismissing pedigree. We've seen this before. We don't dismiss the Watt pedigree. We dismiss the Samuels pedigree, and look where it got us. So yeah, I mean, I'm not dismissing no damn. I'm not saying they're gonna be the best, but if you got that pedigree, that family NFL pedigree, yeah, you should at least be looked at a little bit different for sure.
Look no further than Marvin Harrison Jr. I mean, he's better than his dad. I don't know if I had an NFL career of his dad. I don't want to do that to him.
Talent, though, is what you're saying.
But I haven't. Randy Moss, Julio Jones, Marvin Harrison. As far as how many
Julio was crazy coming out too.
Dog.
So was Randy.
So I got Julio over him, but not by my dog. He's 6'4". He's gonna clock. He's gonna be another 4'3" guy. Filled out all those receivers. Emeka Ibuka, Jackson. None of them could tie his shoes. None of these guys, and they knew it.
He could have came out last year and been top 3.
He would have been listen, Marvin Harrison comes out last year, top 3, probably the best receiver in the class.
Yeah.
I'll tell you this. I'm so passionate about it. I love Baltimore kid, Xavier, route runner. that was drafted last year high from Boston College. Xavier Flowers. He's the 6th best receiver in this class.
Oh, I saw you tweet that.
And I mean it, and I stand on business. And I can give you a ranking right now.
Wasn't that a deep class last year y'all was talking about?
It was. So what happened was,
or we're not. I can't remember which. I know one of these last 2 drafts we were talking about being deep.
Last year was deep, but what kind of guys?
Gotcha.
Small guys. The kid who actually had a really good year in Minnesota.
Yeah, we were talking about Parker Washingtons and yeah.
And what's my guy in Minnesota? Jordan Addison. But those are twos. Those are little guys. You know, I do think that they'll eventually turn to ones. But you know, and even Minnesota drafted him to pair him with with Jettas was smart. But so now you look at Zay Flowers. He's a 1. He'll be a 1 eventually. But like these guys, look at these, bro. The frames.
There's some size to him, bro.
Dog, Marvin Harrison Jr. 6'4". Rome Badunze, a true 6'2". Malik Neighbors is probably the only small guy. But he's more explosive than Flowers, and that's not me being. Those LSU guys are explosive. Troy Franklin, 6'3", real 6'3", Sky. Xavier Legette, 6'2". Like the list goes on. Like these are imposing humans at receiver. That's why I said Zay Flowers in this class will probably be like your 5th or 6th guy. That's just how deep it is.
Man, you heard it here first, man. It's our first look at the Senior Bowl. Hell, probably bring you back next week and get your thoughts on the Senior Bowl, some standouts and things like that. And we here, man. We here. It's draft season. It's time to turn the page. One of the things I always do, specifically for Cowboys, is we go through the emotional part of it, of the letdown, and now we got to figure out solutions. We got to figure out how to get better, even though we understand what it is in Dallas. That doesn't mean I'm gonna stop watching and breaking down the game that I love. I do love the team building aspect, and this is where it starts for me, man. The Senior Bowl.
Yeah, nah, man, and I'm just like I jumped on it so early, Sky. I'm ready. So anytime you need me on, man, I'll be doing Senior Bowl recaps, standouts. You could post from my page if you need to. You know how we rock, bro.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So
I can hit you up. A-Dog call into the show, and you call in, man.
Yeah, and listen, next week I'll make sure I make time to be on.
Gotcha. That'll do it, Cowboys Nation. We will catch y'all another time. Appreciate you.